Replace your grill on your Palisade. This one's I think a 2021. It's my dad's car that I just finished it on. There's only one other video I really saw on how to do this. And they did a little bit of extra work in that video, so I'm going to show you some things you don't need to do and what you do need to do. So this is the grill. As you can see, it's only that black center part. It's not the trim around it. So the things you need to start with on taking it off is when I open the hood here. These tabs, you actually don't need to worry, but this is what I saw in the other video. You don't need to do these bolts for the headlight. You actually don't need to take those off. The clip he was referring to is underneath this light that he was having trouble getting off. It's not that bad. Once you release this edge first, you can kind of like wiggle it back and forth on either side and this will pop out. So all along this top piece, you need to do these pop clips, either a small flathead or a pick tool underneath the top part, lift it up, and then the bottom part will release. You will have a 10 millimeter under here that I haven't screwed back in yet. That's the last bolt to tighten. And then some more of those pop clips all along this edge. And then there's a trim piece under here, if I can get. Like right here, there's another pop clip, and there's 3 of those that run along this edge. And just to pull out a little bit, it's a curved trim piece, so this is that front edge guard. And then there's a curved edge guard, kind of like a little mud guard. And then there's 3 more of those pop clips under here that'll have to come out. And then this tray, there's a bunch of silver bolts and there's a few black bolts. All of the bolts come off on this bottom tray, except for the ones in the back, towards the back of the car. All of the ones on the front here come off. So once you have all of those front bolts off, all of those pop clips along the side here, all of the pop clips along the top here, and those are all out, along with those 2 10 millimeter bolts, one on this side and then one on the other side, you can actually pull the bumper off. So what you start with is pulling this edge out. Once you pull that edge out, you can come over and pull the other edge out and get that loose, and you'll kind of feel it pop free. Whenever you're pulling these panels, just kind of wiggle at them. You don't ever want to go full bore, like just one go try and rip it off, because that's how you break clips. And then you can pull up, and then you're gonna have to get over this, so don't pull straight back, but you'll have to pull up and back a bit. Again, you can kind of jiggle it as it kind of moves off. And then the only other thing that'll really be holding it on after you get like the clips from under this headlight that I was talking about earlier, after you get those off. Sorry for the focus here. This is a little bit older phone. It's Galaxy S8. It'll be ready to come off. So it'll slide off, and then on this side, just under here, there's going to be a, let me see if I can wipe the lens. There's going to be an electrical connector, and there's only one, so it's just on that side. And once you get that electrical connector off, it is totally free. And that's really just for the sensors, if you have them. If you don't have the sensors, you probably won't even have that harness, and the bumper will just fall free. So it's a little bit tricky as far as getting this grill out. You will see these holes down here, as well as these little slots here. It'll be screwed in, and those slots will be holding on to various other components. So this top guard right here, this plastic panel, clips directly on to this panel. You'll see kind of these silver tabs at the top. I think it's those silver tabs. And then it'll also screw in on either side of this. So those 2 screws come out, and then you can actually pull that free. And after those 2 screws, it just pulls off. You do have to kind of yank it. Again, just be careful when pulling those. And that's how you get that off. And once that piece is off, you will be able to separate it from this silver surround. And there's just going to be screws that do that. So you'll see these screw holes down here. All of the screws that go into this, at the bottom here, along the bottom, all the way around the perimeter of this, those will have to come off. So these tabs right here are going to clip into this silver frame that goes around the grill. Using a pick tool like this is very helpful. You can use a flathead to do this, but when you need to get one of those clips out, you can kind of pick under it and then pry the other way and it'll get it out. It doesn't work great on these particular ones, but it works great for these because you can slot it down. Try and get a side angle of the clip. You can see how it has that lip there. So these make it easy to like slide down over the clip and then pull it back when you need to. But you can do that with a flathead as well. And then that will release this whole grill. There's going to be some pulling as well for that. And yeah, there's going to be a couple screws. There's going to be a few screws you have to release, and this is going to kind of flop separately from this because they're actually screwed together about right here. There's like 2 screws. But really, you just kind of got to take it apart. And I wish I would have done a video when I was actually taking it apart. But it's one of those things you'll kind of figure it out as you're taking it apart. But getting the bumper off is really the main thing. Once you have the bumper off, you can kind of just keep disassembling until you have the rest of it out, and then it just goes back in reverse order. In fact, you can, like when you're taking all these out, you can set up a little camera if it has a good view, hopefully better than mine, and then you can actually just videotape it as you take it apart, and you'll know exactly where stuff goes back, or take pictures as you go along. And then obviously putting it back together is just back in reverse order. Again, like in the other video, you don't need to mess with these bolts. You don't need to mess with this bolt. This isn't going to do any good. And then there's also some bolts down in there for the headlamp as well you don't need to do. But really, these clips that were the problem in the other video, they're not that hard. I think the key is actually to pull up a tiny bit. Don't yank upwards because you don't want to put a vertical force on a clip that's sitting horizontally, or it's going to shear. But just a slight upward pressure while you're wiggling and pulling out. And then you can kind of... I've been doing installations for quite a while and working with interior panels, so I know a little bit about how to feel when a panel is like at its breaking point. But just go slow and definitely wiggle the panels anytime you feel a clip. For example, if I'm pulling here and I see the bend is probably right here, I know there's a clip probably just right here. Just kind of use your common sense and know where the leverage point is, like where you're pulling, where it starts to bend, and then where it starts to bend, there's going to be a clip right around there. So if you can get your hand on the other side, which you are able to, because once you pull this loose, this will pull free here, and you can kind of get your hand under here. So if you get a hand under here and a hand behind here, you're kind of wiggling and leveraging both sides. And when you have 2 points of contact on either side, that's better than all of the force going from one side of the clip. You're much more likely to break it. So even force is better. So pull from this side, wiggle, slight upward pressure, and that clip should come free pretty easily. And I think those are pretty much the main points. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks.